There were 240 apples and pears in the box. John removed 4 out of 7 of the apples from the box and he added 30 pears into the box. Okay, so we see two changes, one for apples, one for pears. However, for the apples, notice it's a proportion transfer. Okay, because it involves a fraction. But for the pears, it's an actual value given to us. Now, and they say as a result, there was an equal number of apples and pears in the box. Okay, so whenever you see this equal, okay, start to think of ratio 1 to 1. This removal of 4 out of 7, also you can think of a ratio, translate that to a ratio. So over here, notice that we can create two ratios, which means that in this question, I would most likely be applying the recording of before, change, and after. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Record down before, change, after. So record down your information first. Record down the data first. Do not rush into solving the question. Okay, so at the beginning, I have a total of 240 apples and pears. So this is how we record down, A plus P. Now, John removed 4 out of 7 apples. So this is a change. So a change, we usually draw an arrow and we show that apples minus 4 out of 7. Okay, now, like I said, this change involves a fraction. So when the change involves a fraction or a percentage, you can translate that to a mini BCA ratio below, like what we see in concept 1 and 2 previously. Okay, so let's do that. So 7 units will be your B4. We don't have any units here, but even if we do, we should not transfer it here. Always use the fraction that is in this change to create your BCA ratio. Okay, so 7 will be my total apples at the beginning, total units of apples, right? And out of 7 units of apples, he's going to take away 4 units from the box. So that's your change, minus 4. The change could be an addition, okay? So you gotta look at the verb here. If it's a removal, it's a minus, of course. If it's added, there is a plus. Okay, and finally, after, so B, C, A is your after, will be your 3 units. 7 minus 4, that will be a 3. All right, so I'll show that. 7, 2 minus 4 is 3. Now, and for the pears, another change, he added 30. Okay, so another arrow, you can write down pears plus 30. Now, any ratio for this? Of course not, because this is already an actual value of pears. Actual number of pears. Okay, as a result is your here, the after part, there is an equal number of apples and pears. So your ratio 1:1. So once this is done, first step done, second step is look at how many sets of ratios you have. I have 2 sets of ratios here. So in these 2 sets of ratio, I can first identify my common base. Okay, so I should expect 1 pair of common base because I have 2 sets. So look at this ratio. This is purely apples ratio, right? Nothing to do with pears here. So then, of course, you focus on A. Don't focus on P already. Okay, focus on apples. So this over here is apples after, right? This is in the end, the after part. So of course, then your common base, you look at your apples after. All right, so common base will be apples in the end, which is after. So 3 and 1, I got to make this into 3 units. Okay, of course, the other one will change naturally, and you can underline your common base. Now, once this is done, we would like to solve the question using the usable value. Now, you have 2 usable values here, okay? So notice that I have 240, I have 30. Now, which one will be more useful to help me move on to solve the question? Okay, 30 is purely for the pears. However, 240 is for both the apples and pears. And notice that whatever changes I have here, I have information for the apples and for the pears. I have the changes for apples and pears. So we should be using the 240 to move on to solve the question. It will be more advantageous to us, all right, moving forward. Okay, so let's look at apples. Now, apples, this is, of course, the before part, right? So you look at apples before. In your ratio, look at your apples before. So apples before, as we can see, is 7 units. So let's record that down. Okay, everything here is all units. Ratio are all units, so bear in mind. So apples is 7 units. Now, but what about the pairs? Okay, so I have a problem here because my pairs here, I don't see any BCA ratio. Now, but that's okay because we have a pairs ratio in the end here. Okay, so let's use that. All right, so my pairs here, I have 3 units. Okay, I'm just going to circle this up. I have 3 units. Now, and I need to work backwards using the 30 here because I'm trying to find pairs before. So pairs before cannot just be 3 units because there's a change of 30 here. Okay, so let's make use of this as well to find out what is the pairs before. So pairs before, this arrow is pointing to pairs. If you work backwards, it should be 3u minus 30. So you see, I just need to record that down. 3u minus 30. Forward is plus 30, right? Backward will be opposite, minus 30. And notice once you have recorded this two down, this whole equation, it's something you can rewrite it as your first step. 7u, just need to copy things down. Plus 3u minus 30 equal to 240, just like that. Okay, the moment you have such an equation, you can go on to simplify the equation. Units can add units, so you just go on to add them up. 10 units, then the minus 30, everything else just carry down, no change. Now, can you see with this equation, you can finally find out what is the value of 10 units, the 10 units here. Okay, so to find 10 units, simply 240 plus 30, not minus 30. A lot of students would think 240 minus 30. This is a part and whole idea when you look at your equation. Okay, whole minus part equals to part. You have learned this in lower primary. P1, P2, you learn your part and whole concept. So this acts like your whole. So to find your whole, which is the 10 units, you have to add the two parts. Okay, so 1 unit, of course, just divide by 10, that will give you 27. Once you get a value of 1 unit, reread your final question. You want apples at first. So apples at first here is your 7u. Just need to times 7. And there you go.